Hi, I'm Albert Torcaso, and my texting number is 412-559-2731. Most people call me Al Torcaso, Al Torcaso. Well, back in the early 80s and 90s, or I'd say mid 80s and 90s, up until probably the early 2000s, I had been in a lot of films, both locally made or independent or private, and also some blockbuster style films. And I had done some acting work and I had done some extra work. So today I'm going to share with you some interesting stories I think you might find interesting anyway. Now, one point that I want to make is I've been recently going through some extraordinary sciatica discomfort, also known as AKA pain. So you'll see me flexing a lot. The reason why I'm not quite sitting up the way I want to is because of that. I don't even know how long I'm going to be able to do this. But I want to tell you some engaging stories. Now, first story I'm going to but first event, or I should say events that I'm going to talk to you about is very, very amazing. Now, for those of you who never heard of the group The Monkees, they were a band and a TV show, originally a TV show and then a band in the 1960s. And the people in the band were Davy Jones, also known as David Jones. There was Peter Tork. There was Michael Nesmith and Mickey Dolenz. Well, back in I think it might have been early 90s, I heard that Davy Jones of the Monkees was going to be appearing in a mall in State College, Pennsylvania, close to where Penn State is, not very far from it. And my girlfriend and I were big fans of the Monkees. My girlfriend was a huge Davy Jones fan. And I had my favorite Monkee at that time was always Mickey Dolenz. And so I said, yeah, let's go. So ironically, Annette had gone into the mall to wait for me while I parked my car and our car. And as I'm parking my car, I kid you not, I see Davy Jones driving this little white car all by himself. There was no fanfare. The man was driving as a normal, everyday human being, which I immediately loved that because I was like, that's pretty cool. So, sure enough, I get out of the car and he gets out of his car. And I'm like, excuse me, Mr. Jones, Mr. Davy Jones. And he says, yeah. I said, is there any way I could get an autograph? So, meanwhile, I didn't realize at the time, because I wasn't thinking, I'm like, I don't have anything to get an autograph on. I said, you know what, Davy? I just realized I don't have anything, but you know what? I have this $1 bill. Could you sign that? And so, sure enough, he signed a $1 bill for me right there in the parking lot. And then I get into the mall and I show it to my girlfriend, Annette, and she's like, you just met Davy Jones? I'm like, yes, I just met him. You got his autograph? I'm like, yeah, I got his autograph. And she was a little bit not pleased, to be quite honest with you. So then I also had this little Polaroid style, old school. Y'all would have to look it up on Google or YouTube or something like that. But it was like similar to I think it was a 110 film. They used to call it 110 film. And it was this little old camera. And so I got in line with all the other people. And when I got up there, I said, Davy, do you mind if I get a picture with you? A picture shaking your hand. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And I said, man, I was thinking to myself, this is a nice guy after all, because I didn't really know at the time. So then something that almost got me mobbed by probably about 5,000 women. I don't know how many was there, but there was a whole lot of women. A lot of guys too, but a whole lot more women. So I go and I ask them to take a picture of me, and they had this young woman that was in charge of taking the pictures. So she did not know how to work the camera initially. And I'm over there, and I must have been holding Davy's hand and shaking his hand like we were shaking hands, posing like we were shaking hands for a good 1 to 4 minutes. I don't know. It was a long time. So meanwhile, all these women are kind of like looking at me like, why does he get so much time with them? That's our job. And I was a little bit like, uh-oh, I don't want these women mad at me. But people actually thought that it was an impromptu skit. It wasn't. What actually had happened is the lady didn't know how to take the picture at first. She finally gets the picture taken. And sure enough, they start moving the line, and all the women are up there. And then we're getting ready to leave. And my girlfriend's like, I don't think that's fair. I come out to see him, and I love Davy, and you get more time with him than me. And I had to laugh. I'm sorry, but I didn't mean it in a mean way. But it was funny, guys. It was hilarious. Not because I wanted it to be that way, but it did look like almost like an impromptu Monkees style skit where you go to shake the guy's hand and then the camera didn't work. So, okay, now let's fast forward a few years later. And Davy Jones is appearing at a local event giving a concert. It used to be called the Star Lake Amphitheater in the area of the Pittsburgh suburbs. So, and then he had with him, they had 2 other people from the 50s and 60s. And unfortunately, I cannot remember their names. I wish I could. They were multi-famous. I don't know if it was Dale Shannon or whomever it was. I forget. But at any rate, sure enough, we listened to the concert. The audience listened to the concert. And they announced that if you want autographs, you got to go a certain place. And about 10 minutes later, maybe it was 20 minutes, they said, well, now the line is closed. If you're not already in line, I'm sorry, but we had to cut the line off. So sometimes I'm a little bit uppity, not uppity. No, I'm sorry, that's not the right word. But I guess a little bit adventurous. So there was a group of people around me, and there was an older woman. And I think she was a little bit, well-to-do. And I said to all the people around me, I said, hey, I tell you what, why don't all of us go walk down there anyway and see if we can get in? So this lady, she was kind of rude. She's like, I ain't walking down there. What makes you think you'll get in? Which is kind of, not so nice, right? And I don't mean this in a mean way, but it was funny. I go down there, and I was all by myself. Nobody came. I wish they had, but they didn't. They did not come. So I go down there. I kid you not. I'm in line. The line's cut off. I'm thinking, okay, I got to see Davy and the 3 people, but I wasn't allowed in the line per se. So I was getting ready to walk off. And I don't know how this happened. Now, you have to understand, this gentleman, Davy Jones, over the years, I'm sure he met tens of thousands, or millions of people. I don't know how many, a whole lot, right? Because they were globally famous. So Davy's there. He happens to look over and he waves me through. He says, let him through, let him through. And I'm like, say what? You know? And so Davy obviously gives me another autograph, which I thought was wonderful. And then something that literally shocked me, and I was just like really in awe. He gets up from his stand, his table, walks me over to the other two famous people who were there, and introduced me to them. So I got to meet all three. And I was just like, to this day, we're talking about 2024 now, I have no idea how or why he chose to do that. I thought he was a wonderful guy, but the only thing I could figure is he somehow remembered my face. I don't know how, but in some kind of crazy way, he remembered me from the incident that happened at State College. Although we were shaking hands for like 1 to 4 minutes, so I guess that's why he remembered me. I don't know. I'm not Davy. I don't know. But I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it was hilarious because then I walk all the way back up to where I was parked. Sure enough, there was still a group of those people, including the older, let's just say, not the nicest lady, older, nice, semi-nice lady. I'm trying to be polite. Anyway, let's just say the lady that had gotten kind of nasty with me was still there. And she saw that I had gotten an autograph because I had a poster and what have you. Got a couple autographs, to be quite honest. And she said, how did you get their autographs? And remember, I said, let's all walk down. Right? And they refused. So I was a little bit sassy sometimes. So since she was kind of nasty, I'm sorry, but I apologize now. But I looked right at her and I said, she said, how'd you go down there and get their autographs? I looked at her with a dead serious face. I said, I walked. And she gave me a look like she wanted to knock me upside the head. And she said, what do you mean you walked? I said, I walked down. I said, I told you all to come down. I don't know why you didn't. It ain't my fault. And she just had this look like she wanted to smack me upside the head. And so I actually got to meet Davy and shake his hand 3 different times. Davy Jones, 3 different times in life. And in 2 different locations. Well, actually 3. The parking lot of State College, the mall of in-State College, and of course, in this concert event over there outside of Pittsburgh. And that's just one of my famous encounters. Now, obviously, this is like a 15-minute video just about, but I think I might make a series of these videos because wait until some of the other people that I met and even acted with. I'm going to name drop just one person. A guy that you may have heard of. Samuel L. Jackson. Yep. So tune into that future story, and I will bring up Samuel L. Jackson next, and then we'll talk about Brendan Fraser of the Mummy fame, and we'll talk about Martin Sheen, and a few other names that you may recognize, including the one and only Harry Morgan, famous for playing in the TV series of MASH. Yeah, I got to meet all of them. I've been blessed, ladies and gentlemen. I've been blessed. The beautiful part of it is if I can find online some of these pictures. If I can, I will post them on places like Facebook and maybe Instagram, somewhere like that, or wherever I can. But the reality of it is, I actually have a picture where it's kind of embarrassing almost, but I have a picture where Walter Matthau and we were all eating lunch. I wasn't sitting with them. They were sitting by themselves, Harry Morgan and Walter Matthau. But I do have a picture with him somewhere in the house, God willing. And so it's kind of funny because you're going to see an empty plate of food, but hey, what are you going to do, right? You take the picture when you can, because it's not like you're going to get another chance. But wait till I tell you some of the stories about Walter Matthau, Harry Morgan, Martin Sheen, Brendan Fraser, and Samuel L. Jackson had me cracking up. So did Walter, I might add. But that's it for now. But this is just one of a few more stories that I have dealing with famous people. Oh, and just one more thing. Peter Falk, he played the role of Columbo, a TV series back in the 70s. I met him. What he said to me wasn't all that nice. He wasn't being ignorant, but he wasn't lying neither. In fact, I'm not going to leave here without telling you what he said to me. And don't worry, he wasn't trying to be ignorant. We were in a cemetery filming a movie that he was in, and I was an extra in that one, okay? So we were in an actual real cemetery. Well, my heart acted up, okay? And the ambulance had to come, the real ambulance, real paramedics. So it just so happened Peter Falk was walking by. He looks at me. He put his hand, I'm pretty sure he put his hand on my shoulder. He looks at me and says, "You don't look so good, kid." I was like, oh man, I can't believe he said that. But it all turned out all right. And as you could tell, I'm breathing. And I have to tell you, I like Peter and I like Columbo. But Peter, he was cool, but I was like, I like how he said it too. And it was funny how he said it. I know this has been too long, but I just got to tell you, it's the way he said it. He looks dead straight at me, puts his hand on my shoulder. He goes, "You don't look so good, kid." I can't do an accent like imitation, but it was funny. And then about 2 minutes later, the ambulance takes me away. And I don't know what they were thinking in the cemetery. And I don't know what they ever thought, but I was all right. I was all right. But that's just some of the wild things that happened to me. And yes, there's even more than that. So all of you who never heard these things before, I just never truly thought about telling these stories. I guess it's because it's not so much that they were private, but I don't know, I never really thought of it. And I have to give all the credit to my great friend Ivan Harris. He said, "You know, Al, you ought to tell people those stories." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, people might like that." So I don't know. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. If you like it, give me a like. If you like it, text me at 412-559-2731. And by the way, one last thing. Samuel L. Jackson, in the scene that I was with him, he was supposed to be dead because he was in a made-for-TV movie. In between breaks, he was cracking jokes. I said, "Sam," he said, "What?" I said, "Would you shut up? You're supposed to be dead." And we both started cracking up. Yeah, I like Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, I do. But if you think that's interesting, wait till you hear how much trouble Martin Sheen almost got me into. It was all good. It was good trouble. It was good. It wasn't a bad thing, but it sure was funny. I guess I'll end it on this. The reason why I say he almost got me in trouble, when you're doing extra work, not when you're doing acting work, that's different. But if you're doing extra work, extras are not normally allowed to speak on camera. So let's just say that Martin Sheen was trying to get me to speak on camera when he knew I wasn't really supposed to. But I gotta say, I love that guy. He's a good guy. So was Brendan Fraser. But Brendan Fraser played a good practical joke on me, and if I could find the picture, you'll understand when you see it. You'll be like, oh, he played a practical joke on you, all right. But he wasn't the only one. Until then, this is L. Only a Trip. Wild Man Torcaso. Signing off for now. Now remember that you really do matter. 412-559-2731. Text me now.